Deep in the dense jungles of Indonesia, a group of pirates is celebrating after successfully stealing from a ship. When one of them goes to relieve himself, he discovers a hidden entrance to a cave and cautiously steps inside. Suddenly, the ground gives way and he falls into a pit, screaming as his voice fades into silence. Shortly after, a helicopter lands nearby, stirring up dust and leaves. A wealthy young man named Warren Price steps out, eager to discover his father's legacy related to a lost treasure. Accompanying him are his girlfriend Su Ling and a Japanese scientist named Ri. Their goal is to investigate an old World War II bunker rumored to contain treasure from the Japanese military. The team sets out into the thick jungle, following old maps and war records to find their destination. Suddenly, bullets start flying as the pirates return. Captain Prawa commands everyone to head towards a dark, narrow mine entrance. They run inside just as a grenade explodes behind them, collapsing the entrance and trapping them underground. When the dust settles, they check on each other and find that Aryo, one of Prawa's men, is injured and stuck under some rubble. They manage to pull him out, but the entrance is completely blocked. Price tries to stay calm, but panic rises as the group confronts him about their true purpose. Finally, Price admits he is searching for the legendary treasure of a Japanese commander who disappeared at the war's end. Stanley is furious, accusing Price of risking their lives for a mere myth. Price argues that his father's company decoded a message years ago, and this mine is where the trail ends. Prawa interrupts, insisting that fighting won't help them escape, so they decide to go deeper into the mine, hoping for another exit. With flashlights illuminating the darkness, they venture onward through endless tunnels lined with rotting wooden beams and rusty pipes. Suddenly, a flicker of electricity surges through the walls, activating the lights. An old Japanese war song blares from hidden speakers, echoing eerily in the tunnels. Everyone freezes, realizing that someone else is down there with them. In one chamber, they discover shelves full of chemicals, medical bottles, and photos of severely injured men. Ri examines markings on the wall and realizes it is Japanese military code. Looking pale, she states this place isn't a bunker, it was a research lab belonging to Unit 31. Stanley stares in shock, realizing this unit was known for experimenting on prisoners. Ri confirms this, explaining it involved biological weapons, chemical gases, and human testing. The team presses deeper into the mine, the tension increasing with every step. They find an old barracks where they decide to take a break and tend to Aryo's injuries. While Prawa and Snake search for another way out, the others remain behind. Aryo lies still, breathing shallowly. Suddenly, the ground breaks open, and pale, inhuman hands reach out, grabbing Aryo and pulling him down into the dirt. Ri and Stanley rush over, shining their flashlights into the hole just in time to see a distorted face with hollow eyes and twisted gray skin. Without hesitation, Stanley jumps into the hole, with Ri following closely. They find Aryo's body just a few feet down, with his throat cut. They wonder what could have done this, but before Stanley can respond, something heavy strikes behind him. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up in a poorly lit room. A man in a Japanese military uniform, wearing a broken gas mask, stands over him. The man speaks in Japanese with a stern tone. Ri softly translates, "We are prisoners of the Imperial Army." Stanley looks confused and replies that the war ended 70 years ago. The soldier doesn't accept this and raises a small sword. Stanley lunges forward and knocks off the mask. What he sees is terrifying, a gray face with bulging veins and clouded eyes, resembling a corpse that hasn't decayed. Then, Ri shows footage from her tablet displaying Japan's surrender in 1945. The soldier shakes with fear and then falls to his knees, repeating something quietly. Meanwhile, Price and Prawa's team discover another room in the main corridor. This room is filled with cages, each containing bones, evidence of human experiments. Price notices a skeleton on the table that still shows a gold injection in its veins. He picks up a syringe that glimmers under his flashlight and realizes the shocking truth. The gold isn't treasure, but part of a formula meant to create super soldiers. Before he can share his discovery, they hear the sound of metal rattling. From the shadows, armored figures start to rise. One slowly turns its head, its lifeless eyes dimly shining through its helmet. More follow until an entire wall of armored figures is standing. Prawa and Snake begin shooting, but the bullets bounce off the armor, forcing them to retreat through the tunnels as the relentless army approaches. Snake stumbles, holding his side, until a blade slices through the air and hits him. The others find and pry open a vent, crawling inside while dragging Price along. When they finally emerge, they land in a cavern full of bones. Suddenly, a creature leaps from the shadows and tackles Price to the ground. Another creature drags Su Ling away. Prawa quickly grabs a broken bone from the ground and plunges it into the creature's neck until it stops moving. They catch their breath for a brief moment, but hear the sound of clanking armor approaching again, so they run. In a storage room ahead, they find Stanley and Ree. Prawa explains that everyone else is dead and there's no help coming. Su Ling turns her focus on Price, who is barely conscious. Suddenly, she pulls out the syringe filled with golden liquid they found earlier and injects it into Price's neck before anyone can intervene. Price's body jolts and his eyes open, glowing softly with gold. For a heartbeat, it seems like he is fine, but then his expression shifts. He grabs Su Ling by the throat and kills her in cold blood. Prawa realizes he has to act and leads everyone through another corridor. They follow the sound of running water and discover a narrow tunnel. As they enter, the ground shakes. The soldiers are closing in. Ree goes first, followed by Stanley. Prawa stays behind to block the way and buy them time. As the first armored soldier bursts through the door with its sword lifted, Prawa fires until his rifle clicks empty. Then he grabs a broken rod and charges at the soldier, but quickly gets killed. Ree and Stanley continue crawling, but the water rises to their chests. Suddenly, Stanley sees one of the soldiers crawling through the drain behind them. He yells for Ree to go and fires until his gun jams. Gasping and coughing, she looks for Stanley, but finds only ripples on the surface. Suddenly, an armored hand breaks through the water, causing her to freeze in fear. The soldier rises, dripping wet. She grabs a branch from the shore and swings it at the soldier, but he catches it and easily snaps it. Screaming, Ree tries to run, but one of the soldiers grabs her by the throat, and her scream fades into darkness.